Hello and welcome to another jungle video, and in this one we are going to be looking at 10 things only junglers know about League of Legends. In a way, a nice little list of things you as a jungler should be doing and should understand about the game, and if you're not, obviously you will not climb, you will be stuck, and you will be yelled at by petulant laners. On the other side of the coin that you should toss to your jungler, it's a list of things that laners seemingly can never learn how to do, and it really is what differentiates the positions from jungle. Now obviously the best players in every role do understand a lot of these things, but as you're going up through the ranks, you will have different laners of different skill levels that know how to do either all of these, none of these, or some of these. And of course, as always, if you enjoy, please consider leaving a like and of course subscribing. Patreon has coaching VODs and signups. The gameplay channel has full champion gameplay breakdowns. My Volleyball app will give you full live coaching over your shoulder as you play the best champion. And now, without further hesitation, let's begin. You're not surprised, right? This had to be the first one. SMITE combos, it's an easy one. Baron and Dragon secures as well as Herald secures, I suppose, to a degree, but that eyeball makes it weird. But a jungler's ability to secure an objective with their SMITE is very much centered on their actual abilities, combining it with SMITE to create the most damage in a short window of time such that the enemy jungler cannot react and your team walks away with it. And in a recent video, I put all my Baron steals in recent memory in there, and you'll see even with Zyra and other champions, when enemy lane is just randomly bursted at 1500 HP that takes it to 750, if you were going nicely and smoothly down from 5000 to 1500, and all of a sudden you burst damage it, your jungler is going to be shocked and surprised. Me as the person stealing it, or whoever is stealing it, simply has to expect this and react a little bit faster, whereas your jungler is now worried about losing it and is waiting to time their ability with their SMITE. At the same time, even in a Twitch Rivals competition a few years back, I had to explain that as a tank, when I built full tank, I didn't have as much damage combo as a full damage jungler. That means I need people to body block. That means we need to zone. That means we cannot simply go for the 50-50 because the Lee Sin, the Graves, whatever jungler that's full damage can usually combo significantly more than I can. Please use your damage spells to burn it down and get it low, but don't use it in the final moment. And I have a great example to showcase this, but first we need to get through a few other things. The second thing that a jungler will understand about League of Legends that no one else will is how to be an effective project manager, a conflict-solving god. I mean, that was a sophisticated way of saying it. I could have said babysitters, counselors, HR, except we're actually competent. A jungler really has to understand from the outset of the game, which lane am I ganking early, which lane am I maybe ganking to next, which lane do I want to camp, how do I snowball the game and remove the enemy jungler such that my laners don't want to bring back the guillotine as a form of punishment? And really, it's insanely stressful. You have to have the right clear to suit not only your jungler and match up to the enemy jungler, but at the same time try and make sure that all lanes are in the best position to win. If you literally focus on the wrong lane or be somewhere at the wrong time and the enemy jungler spam ganks another lane that is actually a win con, you have failed. Most laners do have to understand their matchups, their trading patterns, but very rarely will they worry about jungle tracking relevant to those trades. They should, but they don't, and such it's on you, the jungler, to make sure you set up those counter ganks and you understand that sometimes you just have to be everywhere in order to carry games. Even supports with their funny little roams and their cute little movements around the map, they don't really need to be in every lane all the time. They do have to go back to the bottom lane to tend to their ADC baby, but junglers actually have to figure out how to farm and get objectives in the meantime. And I say that as someone that plays support as well. Third on the list is rotating to things that happen and exist. See, laners finally got good at this with the Scuttle Crab. It took about 4 years, but then Riot nerfed it and removed it, so all that training has just gone out of the window. But junglers, if we don't rotate when they're trading and we stay on the Grob and then we go to the Wolves and we ignore the laners, well, they die, and then we get flamed, and then honestly, that's our fault. We should have to rotate to that. If you're counter jungling and your top laner pushes in a wave and the guy's low, you leave the Krugs, you kill the top laner, and now we can do the Krugs. If our team is taking a really bad fight while we really shouldn't be, but we're in a position to rotate and help because we are the fed ones, and then maybe take a dragon, we can do that as well. On this channel, we call it reactive pathing, as we have done for years, and this is one of the best things that separates great junglers from bad junglers. The problem is getting laners to rotate all the time to the right fights and the right moments. It's so difficult, and regularly they do not, and they are simply focused on their own little world. The fourth thing here, as it's a little bit connected, is laner gank ability. Just in case you didn't know, there are in fact 3 lanes. Now, some of you reflect on that realization and the magnitude of what I just said. It's amazing, isn't it, how bottom lane cannot understand sometimes that a top lane Fiora that's really fed can be hyper useful. It's also amazing that a top lane Malphite requires a lot of attention when you've got a Kog'Maw bottom lane that's already 2-0 up and you kind of want to snowball that. The Malphite just has to press the magic button. We really don't care about your gold income. And that's just it, isn't it? not every lane has the same amount of gank ability either. If we have, you know, a beautiful Maokai top lane for free ganks that gets us fed as a win condition, versus having a Soraka and Janna bottom lane, which really doesn't help us with an Ezreal, well, I really do make videos that explain how to gank every and all lane because we are the people's jungler. The ganking tier list I made and the ganking tier list that's built into the Volibear guide I have as well simply acknowledges that some lanes are easier to gank than others purely because of CC. It's amazing that a Soraka doesn't understand why she's not as easy to gank as a Blitzcrank or a Leona. Don't be an emotionally compromised laner, be a Chad laner. Look at Canyon, he's cleaning a bottom lane. They're low, they're stifled, they're being zoned, he might as well get a kill, get another kill. The Yone, because he's mid lane and the enemy jungler isn't there, knows that if he trades with the Lulu, he knows the Graves will show up. The Graves does, and he doesn't care and he kills him. 2v1. Be like this Yone, but obviously being Yone helps in this endeavor, but we all know Renekton's are great for that, Alawis and so on. And if you simply don't have the design experience in your champion's kit to do this, just play it safe, let your jungler do his business, don't die to the enemy jungler, and you will be rewarded. The next one is a short one because it introduces the subsequent point, objective ping pong and map swapping. So if I gank bottom lane and take a dragon and clear my quadrant, please bottom lane understand that the enemy jungler might be pathing in that direction, and if they are not, I'm going to be on the top side, focusing on that lane and the herald, which is the next objective, so you should be a little bit cautious. Mid lane, if you wish to have prior for these events, I can easily gank your lane, please set it up accordingly, and maybe, you know, we can go together to the side lanes and have some fun. You might want to do it again even. The same goes if I actually give top lane island some attention with a little bit of a cheeky dive, convert that into a herald, and now I go back to base, track the enemy Lee Sin, kill the Lee Sin, kill the bottom lane. That's what I want. That's great discipline. No one died in the meantime. The jungle is able to control all the objectives, swap from one side to the other. It's beautiful, but it's not as beautiful as when laners actually understand preparing for the future, otherwise known as objective and map preparation. And this is probably one of the most common things you will find is that a dragon is spawning, a baron is spawning, a herald is showing up, and you simply say, right, let's reset with a minute to spare, let's get some wards, spend our gold, prepare for the fight, lay down and sprinkle some vision like stars in the night sky, and then control the environment so that we get the objective. Yeah, no, always someone being caught out first, we have to float around the back, we have to farm a camp in the meantime. Maybe we're able to get up some kills on the backside because we are actually fed, but you lose the objective for no particular reason. And if the jungler is 2 levels up and you're giving up objectives, there is a failure there, ladies and gentlemen, and I don't like it. But at the same time, we've spoken a little bit about objectives in this video, and you can see here the Akali gets picked off for no particular reason walking into the enemy's jungle as a dragon is spawning. However, despite her mistake, the rest of the team is prepared for the scenario, and guess what? You're able to posture, you're able to poke, maybe you can get a pick, maybe you can zone. This dragon chose to not have an HP bar, so I had to edit it in. But look at this, even though they're able to push off the enemy jungler and at least basically force themselves into the pit, people stop attacking the dragon. The HP bar is not dropping. The Rek'Sai, who's super fed, can afford to kill the Lee Sin, kill the Yuumi, and now chomp down on the dragon, and they kept the HP above 950, which means the Lee Sin couldn't just press the smite button if he had it, just to steal it away. This jungler was very happy with that performance, and obviously the best players understand these things. Yes, it's mostly for the 99%, and honestly sometimes even in high elo you see players, especially laners, that don't adhere to all of these things. Some of them, yeah, and even on the gameplay channel we see that, but we also see quite frequently silly mistakes that you wouldn't expect them to make. Like this challenger Akali walking in and dying right before the dragon. And don't forget, objective prep can also just simply center around making a pick first, having numbers advantage so they don't even want to fight, and we get the dragon. Teams that understand this usually get free wins. Next up, we have map awareness and vision. I mean, if you don't have this as a jungler, you're an absolutely terrible jungler and you probably lose every game. But I think all of us junglers in the union can agree that our laners never have this. However, that's why I preach counter ganking through advanced tracking. And the vision that you can have, the deeper, the better. The sooner we can see things happening, the sooner we can react and rotate. And it's not just simply timing a great counter gank that can win a game. If you track them to a location and then you see visual confirmation on a deep ward like we had for the Viego example in the ganking video last week, it makes the game so very easy. Whereas laners, I apologize, it's just not a skill set that the majority of you possess. See, we see the jungler coming through that deep vision and we rotate to counter gank it for you, but you just didn't see it, you push up and you die anyway. We see the mid lane and the jungle leaving mid lane and going to the bottom, and you die anyway. I remember in a video from earlier last year where a Hecarim ran through about 20 different wards to the bottom lane, there wasn't even a muscle twitch. They didn't even blink. They were so hyper-focused on their one lane, their one reality, and pushing those tower plates. Laners with map awareness, laners with vision control, you are the best, we cherish you. It is the easiest way to win games when a jungler tracks, pings, you ward, and we all deny the enemy jungler the chance to have fun, and we can win the game. The 8th thing is a very simple concept, win condition identification. Now listen, Vayne, it's not always you, please. It really isn't always you. It is you a lot of the time, but not always. Sometimes it's the Fed Yona who's winning lane anyway. Sometimes it's just my Chad Kled, because what I want to do is actually push 5 plates, push a second tower, all of us go back to base, now dive your bottom lane for another 5 plates, push that one, and we want to close the game by 15 minutes. That means we don't need to wait until 30 minutes for you to play the game, because 2 of us who are hyper mid-game scaling champions can just take over. And sometimes that means, yes, in team fights, in certain skirmishes, in late game decision makings, we'll focus on playing around the win condition, which means I might let some of you die, I'm sorry, if I'm the one that's doing the damage. And I might let some of you die if I need to peel my Vayne because she's a win con and you just happen to be a 1 and 8 mid laner. Identifying the Fed players on your team, identifying what kind of game you're playing in terms of which champions are going to spike in the moment you want to close, identifying who's doing damage in team fights. None of it's personal, but please drop the ego and don't always think it's on you. And if junglers fail at recognizing this, usually we don't camp the right lane in the first place and we don't actually end up getting to play the game properly as it is. Number 9 is a short one but an interesting one: map pressure as a living organism. That means we might have a game plan in place and things we might predict, but when things happen differently, as long as we can see the alternatives very clearly. Oh look, he shot bottom lane, I'll do some counter jungling. Oh look, he's top lane, I'll take a dragon. Finding the jungle flow in a game is very, very important, and laners just simply never experience this. You're in your lane the whole time, you're trading, and obviously you understand how to move around the map, but jungle flow and understanding the map pressure as it evolves in terms of where you need to be, what fires you need to put out, where the next one needs to start, how that gank bottom lane translates to a gank mid lane, which translates to a gank top lane, which translates to a herald and a base and a dragon, which translates to pressuring into the enemy jungle, and that's the biggest thing. Pushing them out forward so that we can actually close games is always dictated by the jungler. Very often, mid laners can do it as well, anyone can technically do it, but junglers usually are the ones that are responsible. When you have those leads and you have that advantage, you just push into the enemy jungler's area, you take over their side of the map, and it usually starts with the jungler. You ever wonder why your jungler came from a tower dive from their Krugs, and the enemy jungler is 3 levels down because you were just trading and didn't notice? Junglers understand that map pressure evolves and changes throughout the game, and those that see it clearly are obviously the best in Challenger, but it's always something that most junglers are striving to learn and get better at. Finally, the 10th thing is losing champions. We understand this. Laners, do you? Because it seems like, you know, the lost forgotten junglers of Kiana, Silas, Aatrox, Camille. I'm not going to list them all because I've actually made a video on this directly a few months ago. Pantheon comes to mind. Hey, we even kind of lost Mundo in a way. He just got reworked and all of a sudden he's way worse in the jungle than he was before. I've spammed Maokai jungle in the past and well, you know, there you go. The only one you have is Graves, and now he's been a jungler more than he's been a laner. And even now when they buff Darius jungle, when they buff Talon and Zen jungle to become meta and Kiana as well, it's with the goal of keeping him in the lane. When something gets removed from jungle, it's just bad. But there you have it, 10 things junglers understand about League of Legends that most other laners and players do not. A little bit of a fun video while still trying to be educational as we head towards holiday season and of course 2022 and season 12. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you were able to enjoy and learn something. Please do like, share, and comment if you did. Don't forget to subscribe to the gameplay channel as well, and as always, I will see you all in the next tutorial.